August the 18th, 2022. Guys, you're looking at satellite images, and I've zoomed this up, but this is over the Yucatan Peninsula. It's a system that we were talked about in the last video that had a 20% chance of development. Now it's a 30% chance, and you can see the center of rotation of this thing. We're just a little over west of center on the Yucatan itself. Now the waters in the Bay of Campeche that it's about to emerge in here tonight and the Gulf of Mexico are very warm. This thing's expected to turn up and run parallel with the Mexico and Texas coastline as far as the information that we have now. We'll take a look at that. And I'm going to zoom this back out. But guys, this thing has maintained its rotation, even though you can see that some of the clouds are not as thick because it's on shore right now. But the outer edges of the storm, which would be the northwest edges, are touching that warm water now, and that's going to feed energy through the feeder bands back into the center of this thing. So just pay attention. We are, again, August 18th, right? September 15th is the peak of hurricane season. We've had very little tropical development all summer. And so that's, what does it do? It makes the temperature of the water is much hotter because the storms, because of the way that they spiral upwards, they take that heat, push it up into the upper atmosphere and cool it down. It actually saves the planet, these systems do. They can be very devastating when they come ashore, and we know that. But right now, it may not get to be a big storm, but if it gets up around Texas, you guys may get a good chance of, you had a storm that came in a couple of days ago, low pressure system, spun up a couple of tornadoes and gave you some moisture. So this would be a very good backup for that. Now, I realize that when you're in a drought condition, 1 or 2 rains are not going to solve that problem, but it will help maybe with a garden here and there and things like that. It's going to take longer to get the entire ground wet to soak it up. But anyway, another thing I want to say about it, because it's held that rotation and integrity, this thing could become something we really have to pay attention to. Now, the same satellite, I'm just unzooming the close-up. What you're seeing is almost a river of moisture that's crossing the U.S. It was a little further north a couple of days ago. Now it's over us, and we've been getting rain since yesterday afternoon, all through the night, all through today, starting to lighten up some, but as the heat of tomorrow comes up, guys, we may see some more of this. And actually, if you look at the flaring up in the Louisiana area here, central Mississippi, these storms are going to be headed our way. Now look at Texas. And all of this tropical activity, the heat being pushed in with the moisture, is going to help a lot of the drought area as far as along the coastlines. You can even see along Texas. See this right there, guys, these pop-up storms. That's got to help, but you got to watch out for severe weather. Here's our system. Again, this is about 4.5 hours of satellite imagery. So you know that in another 4.5 hours, this thing's going to be right on the very edge of the shore of the western Yucatan. Now, this is the forecast from the National Hurricane Centers today at 2 p.m. Eastern. 30% chance of development. It says these showers and thunderstorms are associated with a tropical wave located over northern Guatemala and southeastern Mexico. They've become a little better organized since yesterday, and you can see the rotation. The system is forecast to emerge into the Bay of Campeche tomorrow, when an area of low pressure could form. After that, additional slow development of the system is possible while it moves northwestward over the southwestern Gulf. By Saturday night, the system is expected to move inland over northeastern Mexico. An Air Force Reserve hurricane aircraft is scheduled to investigate the system on Friday. Guys, we'll see the exact path. It will become a little clearer. But if it comes in the yellow area here is the cone. It's the center of circulation can be anywhere inside that. So if it comes ashore here in northeastern Mexico, you got this thing's going to continue and give Texas quite a bit of moisture. That's a good thing. And let's look at the southwest for a moment. This is Lake Mead. Notice that it says Lake Mead is up 1.55 feet over these measurements, and this is 2 weeks, 14 days. And we're 3 days past the deadline that the Bureau of Reclamation gave to the different states involved in the Colorado River Basin to get their act together. But, you know, it's kind of hard to do it in a drought. But they were trying to, I guess, get their attention, or maybe they just wanted to take complete control. I have not heard any update on what has happened. Now, they're looking at Lake Mead. That's the most important one. And so because you're seeing it's up 1.55 feet, then maybe they backed off. Even though they are in control, they have tried to leave some leeway with the different states involved with the water distribution. Again, up 1.55 feet over 14 days. Here, and if you look at this, you can see inflow here, outflow here. And you can go and look at each day, but if you look at the average, it's in black at the bottom. The inflow has the average over 14 days, 14,891.57 cubic feet per second. That's inflow. Outflow, 88,251.71. So there's a lot more coming in than is going out. That's how they've stabilized Lake Mead, and we talked about that. If we look upriver, 300 miles by the river, to Lake Powell, we'll see what's going on. And you can see how this works. Now, let me say this. If you read information on Lake Powell, then you start to understand, and I did, that it's built basically as a sacrificial lamb for Lake Mead. In other words, they will sacrifice Lake Powell, you guys in that area, to keep Mead up. And so Lake Powell now, with Mead up 1.55 feet, Lake Powell is down 2.15 feet over 14 days. Okay? You can see why. The inflow from upstream, you got the Green River and the Colorado River merging on ahead of this dam, 6356 cubic feet per second inflow. But look at the outflow. Not quite double, maybe 40% more, something like that, 11,501. So they've lost 2.15 feet at Powell. You guys there may have noticed it. That's a pretty good drop in 2 weeks. Think about that. And that's because they're letting out more than they're taking in. Not quite double, but that's what's happening if you're in the Lake Powell area. Now, again, Lake Mead in the Vegas area got another rain, and that helped somewhat. But again, this dam, if I'm not mistaken, just trying to read the history and looking at the information from the Colorado River Basin Authority, or whatever they call it, it was built to back up Mead. So right now it's working, except that if they were to put Lake Mead back in some kind of good shape, Powell would be non-existent. They would have to actually take the dams out. Now let's go downstream a moment for you guys around the Lake Mojave area. It's down 1.11 feet over these measurements, which is 2 weeks. Now, these dams have been very balanced, Mojave and Havasu, over their entire lifespan. And your elevation is 643.56. Check that out, right? But look at Cincefield, 642. So this thing is full. It's taking that output that's coming from Lake Mead, holding on to it very well. You have a couple other tributaries coming in. And look at, but even with the balance here, inflow versus outflow, average over 14 days, 9,031. Outflow, 9,677. Just a little more outflow down to Havasu than the inflow. But they pretty much tried to balance inflow and outflow. But again, this dam is full from the beginning. So let's drift down to Havasu. And Havasu is down 0.94 feet over these 14 days. Almost a foot, guys. And you can look at why. The inflow is 9,607 from up above there and at Mojave, and the outflow is less by 1,400 cubic feet per second on average, and it's still down 0.94 feet. So there, you've got things that are being sacrificed in order to maintain Mead. Now, also, Mojave is in good shape. It's a smaller area, but Mead is so critical for hydropower and water to over 40 million people that they really focus on this. But let me add something that's on the back of my mind and probably a lot of you guys. Why are they so interested in balancing Mead, getting the balancing act of power and hydropower, when they're destroying everything else? Crops, fuel supplies, fertilizer, grain, the economy, everything. Everything's being destroyed, so why is this balance important? It's a lot of money in Vegas. Think about that, guys. And it reminds me, it's showing my age, but there's an old song that says, nobody calls from Vegas just to say hello. And I think it was Vern Gosdin that wrote that song. And there's a lot of truth in that. But right now there's a lot of money there in development and other things. And when you see these large real estate companies, large casinos, do you know who the major investors are? And just like Cheney that just got spanked and thrown out, over her 6 years, I think she's been there about 6, she made over $6 million. Her income, her bank account has increased. And it's the same way with all of them. She's gone, but she's very wealthy because of it. So this is what we're looking at. Again, I don't understand all of the balancing in between the lakes, but Mead is so important to a lot of money. Look at the money in Phoenix, guys. Look at the incredible things that are happening with Maricopa County. And you know what. Guys, we're watching this. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.